Okay, let's talk subtraction with regrouping. I want to make sure that we are really understanding how to regroup numbers in order to subtract before we move on. So one of the biggest rules that we need to remember is this one. More on the floor, go next door, and borrow 10 more. Which means that if the digit on the bottom number in your subtraction problem is larger than the digit in your top number, then you're going to need to borrow from the place value to the left. So here's an example of how we can figure that out. We're working with 42 minus 15. And step one is, are there enough ones in the top number to subtract 5? Well, I only have 2 ones. Can I subtract 5 from that? No. That means that I need to borrow or regroup my numbers. So I'm going to go next door and borrow 10 more, which means that I'm taking one of my 10s and I'm turning it into 10 ones. Okay? Does that make sense? So we have borrowed the 10 ones. We've added it to the 2 we've already had, which means that my new number is 12. I have 10, 11, 12. 12 ones. So now I can subtract 12 minus 5. Well, I had 12, and I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. How many do I have left? 5, 6, 7. So 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay? And then I can subtract my 10s. I have 1 10 on the bottom and 3 10s on top because I borrowed one from over here. So 3 minus 1 is 2. You have to make sure that you are remembering to borrow the 10, so you're taking it away. That's why this number gets smaller. And then you're adding it to the place value that you are borrowing for. So this one gets bigger by 10. It's always bigger by 10, okay? So this is the same thing we just did, but in a cleaner version. So they borrowed from next door, so the 4 became a 3. You add the 10 to whatever number is here, and then you can do your subtraction. Today, you are going to be working through these. I'm going to do one more with you, and then you're going to finish the next 2 on the first page, okay? So here's my rule. More on the floor, go next door and borrow 10 more. The 4 is greater than the 1, which means I have to regroup my numbers. So I'm going to go next door and I'm going to borrow 10 more. 10 plus 1 is 11. Now I can subtract 11 minus 4. Okay, I'm going to put 4 in my head and I'm going to count up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 7 fingers working. So 11 minus 4 is 7. 2 minus 1 is 1. Make sure you are regrouping, okay? If the number on the bottom, more on the floor, is larger than the number on the top, you have to regroup. What if the number is bigger on the top than it is on the bottom? Well, then you would follow that rule. More on the top, no need to stop. Okay, let's write that rule down too so we have it. All right, more on the top, no need to stop. More on the floor, go next door and borrow 10 more. These are rules that you really need to memorize, okay? Make sure that you are thinking about those every time you look at a subtraction problem. It will help you remember what to do. Okay, on this first page of work, go ahead and complete 2 and 3 on your own. I've put the little green squares in there, so all you have to do is write the numbers. All right. On page 2 of your work today, you have more of the same type of subtraction problems. On 4 through 7, they've put in the boxes and they've given you your place values. On 8 through 11, they haven't, but that's okay. You can do it for yourself. All right, I will put in the boxes in the green just in case you need to use them. So you'll have those there. But really think about your rules. More on the top, no need to stop. More on the floor, go next door and borrow 10 more. Okay, so you have 8 problems here to practice. And then you have a story problem. Spencer wrote 5 fewer stories than Katie. Spencer wrote 18 stories. How many stories did Katie write? Okay, so this is a subtraction problem. You need to think about your keywords. This one right here is a big one. How many stories? This is a subtraction problem because that's what we're working on. Make sure you show your work either in your journal or on the page. If you're showing your work in your journal today, guys, make sure you write the question number next to each problem so I know which problem I'm looking at when I look at your journal work. All right, 13 is well, you're going to do the math, but this is a little bit different. It says circle the problems below that you could use mental math to solve, which means you could do it in your head. Something easy, kind of like whenever we're doing compatible numbers or estimating, it's what's the easiest numbers to subtract. Okay, so think that through, circle the problems, and then you need to explain why. So I'll put a text box here so you can just type in, okay? But use your pen tool to circle whichever ones you find are easiest to solve in your head, okay? That's page 2. Page 3 is more subtraction practice. It says regroup if you need to, write the difference. Remember your rules. More on top, no need to stop. More on the floor, go next door and borrow 10 more. This is truly just subtraction with regrouping practice. And then you have a word problem at the bottom. On this one, guys, we've started numbers over. So write in your journal, if you're doing these in your journal, write page 3, number 1. And then, or if you write page 3 at the top of your journal page, and then you can start your numbers over, just so I know that we've started over on our numbers. So more subtraction practice. And then the last page are word problems. And these are also subtraction practice. Okay. Do your very best. Please show me that you understand subtraction with regrouping. I can't wait to see what you do.